Getting hit on a motorcycle can kill you. Getting hit from behind on a motorcycle is even worse because you never even see it coming. Motorcycle crashes from behind can be super dangerous, but there are several ways to minimize the risk. By following these tips, you can significantly reduce the likelihood of being involved in a rear-end motorcycle crash. Make sure other drivers can see you. Wear bright, reflective clothing and use your motorcycle's headlights and even high beam during the day and night. Avoid riding in other vehicles' blind spots and use hand signals in addition to your turn signals when making maneuvers, if you have the skill for that. Always keep a safe distance between your motorcycle and the vehicle in front of you. This gives you more time to react if the vehicle ahead suddenly slows down or stops. A good rule of thumb is to follow the 2-second minimum rule, which means maintaining a 2-second gap between you and the vehicle in front of you. If you're riding in any adverse weather conditions or heavy traffic, you want to make sure and increase that gap even more. As soon as you see brake lights up ahead, begin slowing down yourself so you can maintain that space cushion between you and them. Following distance is key to keeping yourself safe on a motorcycle. Even if traffic doesn't come to a full stop, you still have room to take off and maneuver if somebody comes flying up behind you. Make sure you stay in gear, have an escape route picked out, and be ready to get out of there. Make your movements clear and deliberate. Avoid sudden lane changes or abrupt stops. Use your turn signals early and often. Flash your brake light when you're sitting at a stop to signal people coming up behind you. Predictable riding behavior helps other drivers anticipate your actions and react accordingly. This will really help in reducing the risk of a collision, especially from behind. When coming to a stop on your motorcycle, don't start fiddling with your bike. Keep your head and eyes up, looking for threats and hazards and stuff that wants to try and kill you. Keep your bike in first gear, check your mirrors frequently, and be ready to take off if someone's coming up behind you and not going to stop. Don't just sit there and get cleaned up. Always have an escape route picked out and get yourself out of the way. When coming to a stop on your motorcycle like this, position yourself over here. That way, if a car flying up behind you doesn't stop, they'll slam right into the vehicle ahead of you and maybe miss you altogether. You don't want to sit in the middle and become a pancake between two heavy vehicles. By aligning yourself to the left or right side of the vehicle, you have an escape route ready to go if needed. When sitting in traffic like this, make sure you're pulled off to one side or the other of the vehicle in front of you. Also, make sure you have space cushion between you and that vehicle ahead so you have room to maneuver and get out of the way in case a vehicle behind you is coming up too fast and isn't going to stop. Don't just sit there and get rear-ended. Make sure your bike's in first gear, pay attention, look in your mirrors, and be ready to go to save your life. Ensure your motorcycle is in good working condition by performing regular maintenance checks. This includes inspecting tires, brakes, lights, and fluid levels. A well-maintained bike is less likely to experience mechanical failures that could lead to crashes. While moving, and especially while sitting at a stop, make sure you regularly glance at your mirrors. This will help keep you aware of the traffic situation behind you. This habit helps you spot any potential hazards early, giving you some time to react. If you see that vehicle flying up behind you doing 40 miles per hour and it doesn't look like they're going to stop, don't sit there and wait to find out. Have an escape route picked out, be in gear, give it some gas, and get the hell out of there. You're going to have maybe a second or two to do all this before the impact comes. When you need to slow down or stop, lightly tap your brakes a few times before fully applying them. This action will flash your brake lights and alert drivers behind you that you're decelerating or preparing to make a stop or even a turn. This is a great tip that I personally use every single time I ride, and it'll greatly reduce your risk of a rear-end collision. Try to avoid riding in heavy traffic where the risk of being rear-ended is higher. If you're going to ride in congested areas, stay in the lane that allows you the best visibility and escape routes in case of sudden stops or traffic changes. You never want to put yourself in a box. You always want to have somewhere to go to get out of there and save your life if the walls start closing in around you. This is something you can think about and see ahead of time as you're approaching these areas. Don't ride yourself into a box. Constantly adjust yourself and make sure you're in a good spot all the time. You never know when it's going to happen. Always be ready. If you found this information useful, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more. For every person who subscribes, a baby kitten gets its whiskers.